Good evening and welcome to Grace Talk. We are so glad that each of you have joined us on today. Today we're doing something a little bit differently. Again, last week we had our student panel discussion and we got to share our students' perspectives on effective communication. Today we're going to do the same thing. However, we have parents here who have joined us for our discussion. So we are going to have two different segments. In our first segment, we have two parents, couples who are with us, and so we're going to introduce them at this time. First, we have the Glenn family, and they're going to share with us how long they've been together, how many kids they have, and then we have the Johnson family, and they will do the same thing. So we'll start with the Glenns.
I'm Tamiko Glenn.
And I'm James Glenn.
We've been together 15 years, the end of the month, and we have 4 kids.
Okay. And the Johnsons?
Hi, I'm Frank.
I'm Alicia.
We've been married for 17 years, going on 18, and we have 6 kids.
He had to count. All right. So today, again, this is Grace Talk. We have been learning how to effectively communicate between our parents and between our students. Again, last week we got our students' perspective, so today we want to get our parents' perspective. I have some questions here that are all coming from our students that they want to know the answers from their parents, and so we're going to share with them at this time. And so don't be shy. We've asked them to be honest, to be open with their answers, because honesty is going to be one of the main keys for us learning how to communicate effectively. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and start with the first question, and we will pose this to the Glenn family. So were your parents emotionally available for you to talk to?
No.
Yes.
Okay, explain.
I grew up with a single mother. It was just, my mother wasn't really engaged as far as talking to me about certain things. You know, I kind of picked up things from other people, had other examples like uncles and things like that that I learned from. She wasn't really engaged as far as me being able to come to her and tell her anything, because she just wasn't that type of parent. You know, it usually ended in some type of like back and forth between her and I. So, you know, a lot of things that I didn't really tell her, and she didn't really know until after I got grown, stuff like that.
Okay. And then Tamiko, you said yes?
Yeah, for the most part, we always had like discussions about different things in our house. Mostly with my mom, because my dad just like whatever your mom say or whatever. We talked about pretty much everything, even though my mom is always gonna give us the godly answer, and I was that kid be like, well, I'm gonna do it anyway just to see how it'll turn out. But I mean, I learned from it.
Okay. All right, same question.
You want to go first?
I can. For me, I would say yes with my mom. She was like Tamiko's mom, like always coming from the spiritual standpoint, always making us pray and go over scripture, explaining why we should or shouldn't do certain things. We didn't, I wouldn't say that we did a lot of talking like that with my dad. He wasn't a big talker or anything, so, but we definitely had that with my mom.
Well, with me, it was a little bit different. I had a mom who was in the church, and then my father wasn't in the church. So a lot of my advice and emotional support I would get from my mother, and she would do her best to guide me as a Christian. And then my dad, with him not being a Christian, I saw the other side, and we weren't really emotionally engaged when I was a child. Later on in life, because of the Christian values and things that my mom shared with me and my grandmother shared with me, it was easier for me to to get emotionally attached to him because I became an example to him. And yeah, it took a little while, but I felt like we finally got on some even playing field. But I'm like you, Brother Glenn. I mean, me and my dad would bump heads all the time, you know. And but definitely my mother was the emotional connect. I could talk to her about anything. But being a boy, it's kind of hard to go talk to your mom. You want to kind of talk to your dad, you know, about those things. But I was able to talk to her, and she was my emotional connect.
Okay. All right. So now the deep question is, do you feel like you are emotionally available for your children?
I am, because like feelings matter to me. Like I'm a very emotional person. I try to, you know, put myself in their shoes at times because, as I said before, I was the kid that I feel like I need to say my piece. And it's just the way that I say it and how I present it to my parents or the adult. But I try to avail myself to them to share their thoughts and their emotions with me. However, I may not always agree with them, and I think that's the problem, because I don't agree with, you know, how you feel about something, or you don't agree with how I feel about it. Doesn't mean that I'm not concerned or I don't care about it.
Okay.
I'm kind of like my mother in a sense. I mean, I'm a product of what I am. My mother was a stern disciplinarian. It's just some things I just didn't feel comfortable talking to my mother about. And, you know, I give my kids the freedom to express themselves, you know, because that's something that I didn't have when I was a kid. You know, if I said the wrong thing, it was the wrong thing, and, you know, it was going to be consequences behind that. I try not to do that with my children, but it's just by the way I was raised. It's just some things, weak conversations that I'm not ready to have. Yeah, and I think it's more me than them. And I'm trying to do better, but I usually leave certain emotional stuff to her because I don't want to seem like I'm being too hard or too harsh at a time when my kids are vulnerable. So I kind of leave the mushy stuff up to my wife and let her kind of deal with the emotional stuff. And then I kind of backtrack, and after the fact, I come back around when I think they're not as vulnerable, or they may have been able to handle it a little bit different. I'll come back around and discuss it and address it at a later date, because, you know, my kids always gonna say that I'm being too hard on them every time I say something, so I kind of leave it up to my wife.
Okay. All right. New question. What are some ways your children can express their emotions to you without you considering it being disrespectful?
The only time where I feel like, or I try to make them feel like I'm not trying to come down on them, is if I ask them to explain themselves. Like, if we're engaged in a conversation and I want to get to the bottom of something, or I want to discuss something, I'll let them know, now is your chance to say whatever you have to say with no repercussions. This is what it is. If you don't say it now, when I start talking, don't be like, well, I'm gonna say something now. No, I'm giving you your opportunity, because I'm the type of person, and at least you probably laugh while I'm talking, but I don't address things in the best light all the time. Okay, that's just me being just openly honest. My parent, the way my dad dealt with me, I used to say I'll never deal that way with my kids, and here I am, 16 years later after having my first baby. I treat them like my dad treats me at times. But on the flip side of that, I try to be emotionally connected to them. It doesn't quite work all the time, but for the most part, I give them an opportunity. If we're discussing something and I say, this is an open discussion, you can tell me the truth, how you feel about this, you got that opportunity. If you squander that opportunity, don't get mad at me when I'm coming down on you, because I gave you an opportunity to express yourself.
Okay.
I always make sure that the kids know that they can always approach me about anything whatsoever. But what you cannot do for me is raise your voice. You cannot roll your eyes
Oh, I was
or
gonna say,
smack
roll
your
your eyes.
teeth. Because at that point, I have to draw the line. That's disrespect, and I will not be disrespected at any point in time, because there's a difference between open communication and just feeling like you can lash out, you know, and use that as an excuse to, you know, put your anger out towards me. And we can have any kind of conversation about anything as long as there's no disrespect.
Side note.
Okay.
Side note for the kids. I'm letting y'all know right now. As parents, we make mistakes too.
That's
We don't have it all together, because I know
Exactly.
y'all go to y'all rooms with y'all and y'all say stuff to yourselves. I know y'all talk to yourselves, but look, we don't have all the answers. We trying to figure this thing out just like y'all
Together.
trying to figure it out.
Together.
So let's come together.
That's right.
Okay. I'm glad you said that.
I feel you.
That's right.
But I tell my kids that all the time. I was like, when I had you, they didn't give me a pamphlet
Right.
and say, when this happened, turn to page 12.
That's right.
And this is what you do. And each one of them are different.
That's right.
So
And you gotta
I-
handle them according to how they are. You gotta meet them where they are. That's what I believe.
Okay. All right. So we're still talking about. Don't look over here. So we're still talking about what are ways that your kids can express themselves to you without you considering it being disrespectful. So you said, you know, they can't raise their voice, they can't smack their teeth, and there was something else.
They can
Roll their eyes.
roll their eyes.
Roll their eyes. Okay. All right. Storm off.
Storm up. You know.
Okay. All right. So what happens though if you do one of those things in the middle of a conversation?
Oh,
I'm just as guilty as they are. Dude.
Oh, you mean if you
Yeah. If you're having a conversation with your children and some of the things that you say are disrespectful, is them rolling their eyes or you know, smacking their teeth or raising their voice. What do you think happens when you may sometimes do that to them?
They feel like
They
they can
feel-
turn around and do the same thing to you.
Okay.
Or
They
they'll call you a
feel,
hypocrite.
they feel the way, right? They feel the way we feel, like they were disrespected, or we're not considering what they're saying. But it goes back to and I know now I'm a loud talker, and sometimes
Yes.
they say I feel like that's the only way they listen if I'm yelling at them. And then I would tell them, I was like, okay, well, I didn't mean to sound that way, but I felt like you ignored me or whatever. So that's why I took the tone that I did.
Okay.
And I always say that too. Frank is like, we should. And I said, well, they know. I'm just trying to get their attention. But I can bring it right back down as quick as I pick it up. But I am going to get their attention, because you need to know that I'm the parent and you're the child.
Side note on that too. Look here. Now y'all might go and say, yeah, that's right, y'all fuss at us just like we be getting loud and stuff. But there are those times when we just be talking to you, giving you chance after chance after chance after chance,
And you front
giving
out.
you God chances, and you still not learning from giving those chances. And then that's probably when the wrath of God comes out. I'm just giving that a side note.
I'm not giving no chances, man.
You don't
I mean, it's just a way that you.
But that's how we were brought up,
Right.
That's
though.
right. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just a way that you know, if I talk to my mama like that,
Right.
my mama 4'11", well, she would have slapped the dog. I was scared of my mama. I
Mine
don't know
too.
about
I was
nobody else,
scared
but
of my
I was
parents, too.
definitely afraid of my mama. Like, I'm telling you, like, she put the fear of God in me.
That's right.
My grandma, you know, I just didn't disrespect them.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like, you know, I may be wrong in this, but I feel like I just don't, I pay the cost to be the boss. Like, I take care of you, you don't take care of me. So what I say, no matter how I say it, is
It goes.
intended for the betterment of you. Like, I ain't telling you nothing that's gonna hurt you. I'm telling you
That's
something
right.
to help you. So regardless of how I say it, you know, it need to be met with
That's
a
right.
level of respect.
Right.
You know,
That's
that you know, there's no, well, two of my oldest two, they don't even try that. My youngest two will push me to the limit. But sorry about that. But it's just the truth, you
It's
know.
the truth.
And that's
But
sometimes
We all have them though. We
that's why
all
I
have
let her
'em.
talk first, and then, you know, I take care of it. If it gets past
Oh,
to
yeah.
a level in which I need to intervene, I kind
whole
of, because
Mr.
when I come
Incredible
in,
thing, yeah,
I'm
that's
coming in with the
intervene.
disrespect, so there is no in between.
But that's
on that,
teamwork,
you know.
and that's
Absolutely.
why it takes parents to work together.
Yeah, because
Okay.
she gonna try to do it her way and try to get on that level, and I ain't gonna do that because I don't got time for that, you know.
Mhm.
So when I tell you to do something or we talking and I feel like you
We related. We
Oh,
related
yeah.
back. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, all right, great conversation. So,
Let's
With
stay
all-
right there. Let's stay. No, I'm just playing.
So, with all of that being said,
Mm-hmm.
here's one of the things that came out of last week's session,
Okay.
and that was that most of them feel like they aren't respected. If I come to you and tell you something, you know, if it's a big topic, you know, not talking about the little stuff, but if it's a big subject and I'm coming to you respectfully and I say, you know, this is what's going on, and then you just kind of get up in arms and get mad and start getting loud and all that kind of stuff, or you say, well, you know, you can't talk to me anymore about that, or you know, you kind of give them the authority figure. I'm the boss. You know, you do what I say, and that's the end of it. So what happens is they begin to develop feelings of depression, and they feel at that point that I don't know what I'm gonna do, because if I can't come to you and talk to you about what's going on because of how I know you're gonna react, who do I go to?
I agree with him.
So with that being said, now you all have said that, you know, you didn't have, the men didn't have the emotional person there or the connection there. So how did you cope when you had those kinds of feelings? How did you cope?
Yeah, I just dealt with it. You know, I mean, I feel like, you know, these kids feel, I'm sorry, I
Go ahead,
feel like,
go ahead.
I feel like these kids feel like we owe them something. You know, like, I owe them, I mean, when I was growing up, I dealt with my problems. You know, I've been depressed the whole life, didn't even know it. You know, I can understand the way they feel, and I do, you know, empathize with that whole scenario and situation, because I deal with kids in my regular day-to-day job, you know, and I treat them totally different, you know, but they're not my kids, you know, and I do understand where they're coming from. That's why I try to not address things. Like, if they tell me something major, I try to calm down first before I respond, because I know if you say something and it triggers something in me, I'm gonna lash out, you know. So I try to at least let her deal with it, you know, and maybe let her talk to him, because she has a way of calming them, and they know, like, they usually will come to her with something, and then she'll tell me, you know, and that's usually how it goes. But, you know, I don't know, I just got a different opinion about the way these kids are like, they're coming up right now, and it kind of bothers me because I feel like these kids are entitled, they feel like they're entitled to something that I can't give them or that I don't owe them, you know, and I, you know, as a parent, you know, I just want to raise them the best of my abilities, and there is no manual, and I don't know how to deal with certain things because I haven't been through what they're going through, but at the same time, you know, you got to learn to, I come from that old school background. My mom, don't be soft, you know, be strong.
Suck it up and deal
Suck
with
it up
it.
and deal with it. And that's just the way I live, you know, it's like, I know things are gonna happen, and like I said, I've been depressed. I may have not been clinically, you know, diagnosed as being depressed, but I've had those days too. And, you know, I push through it, you know, and I want them to do the same thing, but I know that's not always the case, you know, and that's something that I gotta get better at as a parent. I recognize that I'm smart enough to know that I don't got it all together, and I can use some help too, you know.
Okay.
When I was coming up, I dealt with a lot of things too, issues that weren't easy to go to your parents and talk about. Some of the big issues that were in my time was gangs and drugs. You know, it's just something that I just didn't do. I looked at my friends, just like you say. Sometimes you pick up stuff, whether it's from other friends, whether it's from other family members. And what I did find out, because I remember it like it was yesterday, being brought up in the church, you see how other families deal with situations, and you can look and say, okay, they handle a situation like this. I thought that the situations were supposed to be handled like they handled at home. And you learn from that as well. So a lot of times when I had to deal with things that were more emotional, it did come from my mother's side. Like I could go to her and talk to her about things and feel like I have that safety net. But we come from a different generation, and a lot of the things that we dealt with, or the things that we learned right off the bat, was respect. Like, if mama and daddy said don't do it, you just don't do it. 9 times out of 10, these young people, I know there's certain things that they're dealing with, issues that they're dealing with right now, that we didn't have to deal with. But 9 times out of 10, you know whether or not it's right or wrong. So if you know that is wrong and you doing what's wrong, and your parents get upset about it, you don't feel like you're being disrespected because we're getting upset because you did something wrong. I mean, we can fix stuff. Everybody does something wrong in their lives at some point in time. So what you might be going through, it might be something that we've gone through that's similar. The Bible is, I mean, there's so many different examples that I use to kind of like deal with things and know that there's hope in situations that I've been in. Sometimes I might not can quote scriptures and things like that, but because I was brought up in the church, you know, hearing sermons all the time, things that I can use to relate to my life, it makes it easier for me to be able to cope with things. But like Brother Glenn said, I mean, there's just things that we owe you love, but the whole thing of you saying that we're disrespectful, the Bible even talks about that. You know, you a child, stay in a child's place, and as an adult, as a parent, we're supposed to do things a certain way too. And I understand that we're not supposed to provoke our children, and so I'm not trying to provoke y'all and making y'all mad and stuff like that. This is to my kids' side note. I don't do this stuff to just to make y'all mad or anything like that. I deal with y'all the best way that I can, and any parent that loves their children is going to deal with them the best way that they can. You're going to have to be able to, you're going to have to be flexible, just like parents have to be flexible. We might not do everything right. Don't hold it against us. Y'all not gonna do everything right, and we not gonna hold it against y'all. And we just work together and figure this thing out together.
Okay.
All
Going to
I
preach,
like
Frank.
this. I like this. This is fun.
All right. So just a few more questions, and then we're gonna wrap up this first segment. And so, why do you say that your children can tell you anything, but when they tell you, you get mad or respond in a negative way?
Now, I will say that I don't get mad, but my issue with one particular child,
Lord have mercy. Just know it wasn't me that said it.
it was me. But this one particular child, okay, this one particular child, we can edit that part. This one particular child, they like to say that I always give examples of things when I'm talking to them about something, and they may not want to hear examples or how it was when I was a kid, you know, because I'll tell them I wasn't perfect. But I will say this, I was very purposeful when I was a child, because my mom would always say, you know, you shorten your days, you disrespect your parents. So
Bible.
I was like, oh man.
There's Bible for that.
Right, and I told him. And so that stuck with me personally. And so I was purposeful in the way I was with my parents. And I'm the child in our home that would think before I spoke. And I don't want my teeth knocked out either. But I would think before I spoke and before I did things, and if I was accused of something, that I was not, I was not the person that actually did something, then I would just take it. And so sometimes when I look at kids, I'm like, why you can't just be quiet and just, you know,
Take it.
take it. like, it's not gonna kill you. And I tell my kids, I'm like, this, if you didn't do it, if it was so-and-so's fault and it looks like it's you, if you didn't do it, then God will reveal it in time, whoever, if he wants me to know. But it's not like I'm beating you for it or anything. But if I say something to you about it, you don't get a chance to say anything to me about it being smart mouth. You know what I'm saying? You know, if you say, well, mommy, I didn't do it, then what I would say is, okay. But if you come to me and you say, well, I didn't do it, and you're talking too much. You know, it's the way you do things. You know, so I feel like sometimes kids need to be a little bit more purposeful when they do things, and not look for excuses. And it's not just in communication. Kids just look for excuses, period. Excuses why they didn't clean their room. Excuses why they didn't do their homework. Excuses. And it starts so child. So I don't really believe it's just that cut and dry. But I think with them, they just feel like it's just, you know, just that cut and dry. And it's really not. And I just feel like sometimes you just gotta be patient, and the Lord can work out stuff that you know, we're not fully aware. If you allow time and you still do what you need to do as a child and stay in a child's place, God will work it out. He did for me, so I know that he'll work it out.
Okay. Anybody else? Why do you say we can tell you anything, but when we tell you, you get mad?
I don't necessarily get mad, I think like she was saying, it's the way they do it.
Right.
And my thing is, I know our two younger ones, and they know, and they already know our answers pertaining to them because our other kids are grown. So, like, they have me and him in them, so it's difficult because we would tell them. I think they took you can express how you feel, say what's on your mind to another level.
Right.
Like, and I think when we made that rule, I don't think we realized, like, this is a different set of kids.
We did it.
Because the other ones had that same
The perception
rule,
is
but they were different.
Right.
They knew the child's place.
That's
Yeah.
right. And they were purposeful because of that,
When
because
they
they
were that age,
understood.
Yeah.
they knew what the child's place was.
That's
I don't know
right.
what that place is. It's really like vague and general, but
But,
they knew what
like,
the
they
child's
knew
place
how to
was.
be
man.
quiet,
They never
right.
get out
Like-
that child's place.
Yeah, when you
Right.
see us
Young
looking
ones
crazy,
don't know how to
be
be quiet because they have to. And I don't know. I guess it's the mix of both of us have to get the last word. Like,
It's a generational thing.
it's
must
a
be.
generational.
It must
Okay,
be.
because I just really.
Because it ain't just y'all kids.
Honestly, I'd be like, well, what did I do wrong? Like, what? Did I miss something?
yeah, I don't think we get mad. I honestly, yes, we do get mad.
We do, but
we
I
get
think
mad, but
sometimes they take everything as being mad.
disappointment
Yes.
and being mad is something totally different
Right.
too.
Like,
It looks
I
the
get
same, though.
I get
Yeah,
disappointed
yeah,
when
it
if
does.
my kids do something wrong. Young people, just letting you know right now. Side note, if y'all do something that's wrong, and you know that that's not the way you was brought up, it becomes disappointing to the parent.
Absolutely.
I get disappointed when I know that I've told you that this is wrong, and I've told you on numerous occasions that it's wrong, and you wind up doing it, or you'll say, this is what y'all say, and this is what I know what I'm doing. I'll be able to handle it. No. You won't be able to handle it. That's the reason why we're telling you ain't gonna be able to handle it. So don't do it. If you find yourself in a position where we've told you not to do something, it becomes disappointing to us, and we might tell you that you can come to us anytime and don't get mad, and we won't get mad. But if y'all do things that deserve something being upset or a person being upset about, take it with a grain of salt. Because I try and brace myself. If I tell you that I'm going to come to you and say, I'm not going to get mad if you tell me something, in my mind, I'm trying to brace myself to not get mad when you tell me something. Because I know it's going to be something that's going to get me upset. So I try and brace myself. It don't work all the time.
I hope that you enjoyed that first segment of our parent panel discussion. I believe that our parents gave us some very honest and interesting perspectives about effective communication. What we're going to do right now is take a little break, but what I want you to do, parents, do me a favor. In the comment box below, I want you to share with me if you believe that you are able to be transparent with your children about life. Can you answer that in the comment box below? Just a yes or no. Are you willing to be transparent with your children about life? Thank you so much for doing that for us. We're getting ready now for part 2 of our parent panel discussion. Grace Talk starts right now. Welcome back to Grace Talk. We enjoyed our first session with our parents, with the Glenns and the Johnsons. We are now have some new faces on the stage with us. So we're gonna give them an opportunity to share with us who they are, tell us their name, how many children they have, and how long they have been a parent. So we'll start to my right.
My name is Michelle Yerby. I have 9 children total, and I've been a parent for 27 years.
My name is Letitia Bradley. I have 1 child. I've been a parent for 14 years. My name is Edna Kelsey. I have 1 child, and I've been a parent for 12 years.
And my name is Maconda Ewan. I have 2 children, and I have been a parent for 14 years.
Okay. All right. So just like with the first session, we have some questions that are coming directly from the students. So we want you to be open and honest with your responses. Some of you have heard the other session that went on, so you can bounce off of some of the things that were said there as well. All right. So this is just whoever wants to answer. I'm just going to throw the question out there. Y'all pick it up and run with it. Okay. All right. Why do you assume the outcome of a situation without hearing us out on what really happened?
Because we know our kids. When the sentence starts, and it's usually, Mom, guess what? We already know. Because we know what we keep telling you over and over and over again. And no matter how many times we say, don't do it, you do it. And it results in the same thing that we told you. If you do this, this is going to happen. So then when it starts, you don't even have to wait for the end of the sentence because you already know, because you know your kids.
Okay.
And
Anybody else?
She's absolutely right, because my children, they tell me all the time, Mama, you assume all the time. But like she said, we know our children, and we know what their response is going to be. And so I'll ask a question even though I already know the answer. And so I'll ask them just in case to clarify. But I already know the answer. So again, they already say, Mom, you assume a lot. But that's the reason why, because we know you.
Okay. All right. Do you feel that your children face obstacles that are different than yours?
Yeah. With this generation, everything's completely different from when we were growing up. Yeah, the obstacles are different. I mean, it could be similar in some ways, but they do go through some stuff that we haven't. I can speak for myself. I know he's going through some stuff that I haven't been through.
Anybody else?
I think they
do.
Yeah, they absolutely do, because we didn't have cell phones back then.
Exactly.
But they have cell phones now, so they have access to information that we didn't have previously. Because like with me, I love Google, and I know my child, she loves Google too. And so she likes to ask questions of Google just because, you get the information. So again, they have access to more information. And so I believe, yes, absolutely.
I think they do too. I just think the way we handle the problems are different. I think we were tougher. We were made to be tougher as kids, and I think our kids aren't as tough. I think they don't deal with things the same way that we did. So some of the things are different, but there were a lot of rough things that we went through growing up. And we didn't have parents that would sit down and say, come talk to me and tell me about your day. So whatever was going on, you just had to deal with. You had to figure a way to be able to keep going and deal with. So I think there's some things that are different, but I do think we went through stuff. We just deal with it.
Okay.
different.
And I heard that same answer in the first session. So let me ask you this. And again, this is for anybody, but why do you think the children are different now than they were when you were growing up?
Because they get to it.
Because we're different parents than our parents were. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's a parenting thing. All right, so why is it a parenting thing?
Because you always want to raise your children differently than what you were raised.
Exactly.
I always wanted to give my children more than what my mama was able to give to us. And so I worked hard. My husband worked hard so that we can provide things for them to make sure that they have what they need. So they don't have to look at other kids and want, So I just think that the things that they get, and for example, like the bullying, everything now, soon as somebody say something or, it's bullying now. If that was the case, we were bullied years ago. But it wasn't bullying. Didn't nobody care?
So true.
Like, nobody cared. So you either fought your way out of the situation or you have, whatever you had to do to deal with it. But you didn't run home every day and tell mama, like, so-and-so bothering me. These children these days are punks.
So what I hear y'all saying is y'all's children are spoiled,
They are
and
to
you
a certain
spoiled.
degree.
Yes.
To a certain
Yeah, to a
degree.
certain degree.
But what we expect is, okay, so when you're growing up and you're thinking, okay, when I have a kid or when I have my children, I'm gonna do this and I'm not gonna make my kids go through this and that. And what you expect is that they will appreciate that and it would make them
Do better.
more obedient kids, but it doesn't seem to be that way.
And all it's really done is just made
Made
them
them-
want more, expect more,
Because they
and
don't
feel like
appreciate.
don't
we're
appreciate.
obligated
Right, I
to
told
do
my
it.
daughter the other day, I think I make this look too easy because I don't think you understand what I go through. Before the COVID, I'm working 12, 15-hour days, you know, and just to make sure that there's no pressure. You don't have to worry about, is there food, is there Wi-Fi, is the water on, or the light, do we have to move, you know, that kind of stuff. And I just think that we make that easy, and they don't think about that stuff. But that was something growing up that we thought about on a daily basis. Is there enough of, are we gonna make enough? Can we get enough hours? Are we gonna have this or have that? And my mama worked hard to make sure that we had, you know, those things. And my dad worked hard to make sure but that wasn't something that we took for granted. But today, I feel like they take that stuff for granted and even expect that they should have stuff.
Okay. All right. Next question. Why do you feel like just because we are your kids, we don't have feelings?
Ain't nobody ever tell them they don't have feelings. But what he ain't gonna do is come at me the wrong way. So it's not that I don't care about his feelings. And this is funny because me and TJ, we just had this kind of conversation maybe a couple of days ago. He was like, you don't care how I feel. Okay, well, let's flip that. You don't care how I feel when you don't do what I tell you what to do.
Exactly.
It's like, he forget, well, I bring it back to him. I'm the mama. He the child. That's point blank period. But you do what you're supposed to do. I care about your feelings still, but you still gonna do what you're supposed to do. But then I'm Cruella.
Okay.
And we didn't have feelings growing up.
If you did, you better not show it.
Exactly.
We couldn't show it. And so, you know, like a lot of us, we understand they have feelings, but at a certain point, we don't care because we the parent.
Exactly. If you want me to recognize and appreciate your feelings, then you need to do the same for mine.
Exactly.
And that's what I had to tell my daughter. Now, you're worried about your feelings, but did you think about how I would feel if I done asked you 6 times to do something and it hadn't been done, but then as soon as I holler, then it can get done. But then your feelings are hurt because I hollered at you, but how you think my feelings, what kind of shape my feelings in if I done asked you 12 times and I done been ignored?
How you think I feel when I have to go spend my money out? Because you want something, but then when I ask you to wash dishes, your
More than
mouth
the
stuck out long as this peach.
Preach.
You mad because I asked you to wash dishes.
That's right.
Or take out the trash.
Or take out the
I mean,
trash.
come on.
Or clean up your bathroom.
But we are considered as mean because
Yeah, because we tell you
Yeah,
that you that's
And don't care about their feelings
Yes,
because they had a long day.
But I have feelings when I have to swipe my debit card
or swiping it for them when you know you needed something, but you gonna put them before yourself.
before yourself.
Or work
Exactly.
all day.
But,
And you trying to get home so you can work the next day, and they tell you about something they need from the store that they've known about for 2 weeks, and you got to go and get it out the store, tired as you are,
Because they need it the next day.
because they need it the next day. But your feelings don't matter.
No, it don't matter.
But what I try to do when I know that by them having kids and responsibilities as a child, I began to I know y'all probably heard of the green light card, when you give them chores and you give them responsibilities, and so they earn money for the things that they do. So I've tried to use that as an incentive to get them to do the things that I want them to do. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was gonna do that. I had started doing that, but me, how I feel, I shouldn't have to pay you to clean up your room. I shouldn't have to pay you to wash the dishes.
What you
I shouldn't
say?
have, I'm serious. I'm not gonna pay you because that's what you're supposed to do.
Well, you already
And you
paying
living here free.
because you in my house. You got air.
Mm.
You got a room, a bed, a TV. Most of them have phones. They got Wi-Fi. They've already been and food. They've been paid.
Every day.
But
They
even-
get paid every day.
Listen.
Get out of here, Fred.
But even with that green light card, they still, if they want a certain item, you're gonna use your money. You're not gonna use my money, because I've already used my money, so you need to use your card now to pay for that food that you want, maybe that candy you want. So I'm gonna allow you to be responsible and
Well,
say, you want all this when you pay for it.
I tried it too. Clean up your room, I give you allowance.
Right.
But when I go in your room and you don't throw all your stuff up under the bed.
Oh, you're not gonna get the money then now.
Can I interject right here? I was never offered that allowance.
You're right. You were raised in a different time.
Whew.
You were raised in
I'm
a
just
different
gonna say, I'm just putting that out there now.
You wasn't. But
All right, so this is good. This is good. This is good. So students, I hope you're listening. I hope you're paying attention. And really, again, what we've been talking about, listen to comprehend. Don't listen to try to respond, okay? Because what I want you to do is hear what your parents are really, really saying to you, all right? It's not that they are disrespecting you. It's not that they are just upset or don't care or don't like you or whatever the things that you've conceived in your mind. What it is they want you to do what's right from the beginning. Your parents have standards for you, okay? The world doesn't have a standard. The world says eat, drink, and be merry. Okay, but your parents have a standard for you that they want you to live by because they want you to be the best person that you can be. Okay, so I said last week I was gonna advocate for the students, and now I'm advocating for the parents. So that's okay. Here we go. Next question. Next question. My day is already here. My day is already here. All right. Next question. Why do you get mad when your child does the same things you did at their age?
Because we know what's gonna happen. Because we done did it. We already know what's gonna. We see that tunnel. You know how you have tunnel vision. I know what's gonna happen when it comes. That's why.
I don't know if I get mad because she does it as much as I get mad that she thinks I don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
Because I've been there, you know, and so lately what I find myself saying is I already know because, you know, I was your age, like I'm older now,
But we done been
but
there.
I've been there. So I don't get so mad about it happening, but I try to say to her, I told you. And so now you see it, and you know, I try not to be mad about that, but I do get aggravated that she doesn't seem to think that I've been there before.
You know, a lot of them think we just, well, TJ say I'm old, but I ain't old, but they think we old. We old and we don't know, like, we'll tell them quit. We've been there, done that. But I'm not as old. I remember being your age. It ain't been that long since I've been your age. But yeah,
You
they
sure?
anyway. But the older, you made me forget what I was thinking about. You just made me lose my thought.
I'm sorry. You ain't old, Edna.
I know.
Not right now. Maybe next year. Okay. So I'm gonna ask you all. It's gonna be the same question from the first segment, but it's gonna be worded a little bit differently. Okay, and this is from a student. All right. So why, when you tell us we can talk about anything, Do you slaughter us once we tell you?
Well,
No, that ain't.
I'm gonna go for y'all.
Go ahead.
Okay. So, I always want TJ to know that he could come to me and tell me anything. I never tell him I'm not gonna get upset because I don't know what it's gonna be. I don't want to lie to him because I know I flip out. So I always tell him, I want you to be able to tell me, but you gonna have to deal with what I'm gonna say when it come back. Not saying that I don't want you to tell me. We're gonna work it out together. But I'm not finna sit here and tell you can tell me anything and I'm not gonna get upset.
Okay. Anybody else?
Like him.
I don't think that I slaughter, but I do get upset if you come to me and you tell me some stuff, and I've already told you, number one, what to do to prevent that stuff. Number two, what's gonna happen, then it happens, and then you crying or mad or upset or whatever, and we've already talked about this, usually more than once. So I don't think it's slaughtering, but I try to handle it where we deal with it, and you know that I'm frustrated or aggravated or whatever about whatever happened. But in the end, I like to leave it where, but you can talk to me no matter what. Even if you think I'm gonna be mad, I might be, but I'm gonna help you. We're gonna get through it. I'm not gonna abandon you, leave you hanging, all of that. So I try to leave it where she feels like she can come and talk to me, but I can't act like I didn't get upset about whatever. But I always try to leave it where the door is open for the next thing that happens, and she'll come and say,
Okay.
I've always tried to tell my children they could come and talk to me. They do say that sometimes I go a bit over the edge. And then sometimes I think that I give them answers that they wouldn't expect for me to say because I'm mama. But I always try to put it out there on the table and bring it to their level. This is what it is. Because, they have their little slang talk and, So I try to put it out there and talk to them like they talk to each other. And let them know I know what time it is.
Exactly.
But I don't think I get slaughtered them. Do you think what did you all say? No, one day we had a conversation and you all said that sometimes
For those of you who don't know, that's my mother. So that's why I'm responding that way. Go ahead.
Y'all said sometimes I'm over the top with my answers.
Yes, your answer sometimes it's not what you've said, it's the way that it was presented.
Yes.
Is over the top. And I say that about a lot of people and a lot of situations that go on. And that's one of the things that we've talked about in dealing with effective communication is that your presentation, the way you present your response to whatever has been said, kind of dictates how the rest of the conversation goes.
It will.
Because, we can start out having a very respectful conversation, and then I may say something that may trigger you, and your response is over the top, and then it just kind of goes downhill from there.
It will.
Go ahead, Tisha.
I was just gonna say, I think part of that is we didn't come up, and we are only like 3 or 4 years apart, so we didn't, and our parents are siblings, so we didn't come up in households where you could say, "Can I talk to you about this, Mom?"
Yeah.
That didn't happen. We didn't start saying "I love you" in my household until I had my daughter, and she started doing that with my granddaddy, and he would just tell her how much he loved her, so she would just tell everybody she loved. So now we say that, but growing up as a kid,
We didn't hear that. We didn't hear that.
we didn't talk about stuff. you didn't get to say, I like this boy, or, you know, if we came home and said, so-and-so, not bullied, but then bothering me, picking on me, that's what you said, picking on me. Then the response we got was, well, you better pick on them back, and you better not lose. You know, you didn't, and that was the extent of it. Nobody cared about how you felt, what it meant, what it did to your day. But so when somebody says, when the kids come and they say, well, can we talk about this or that? You want to talk because you don't want them to be shut off like you felt, because you didn't get to talk. But then some of that stuff that they say, and I'm just like, wait a minute, you know, we're not gonna talk about this. Some of it is too much. So some of it they feel like they're slaughtered, but I feel like, am I being respected here? Like some of this stuff, you like, I'm not your friend.
Exactly.
So some of this
But
stuff,
I do try. Like for instance, I couldn't talk to my mom about sex.
right?
I just couldn't. I knew that I could. It wasn't no negotiating, none of that. But I've always told my boys, talk to me. If you can't talk to me, talk to your daddy. But talk to one of us, because I don't want you to be in a situation where you're stuck and you don't know what to do. So some stuff, and then like I say, some stuff, I just come off, you know, with the
First thing off the top of your head.
I do, and sometimes it's just not.
What do you expect?
They're yeah.
Because they think of us as just moms. They don't think of us as people that have grown up just like them. So like if we ride in the car, like Thursday is my favorite day to ride in the car because it's Throwback Thursday.
Yeah.
So then Hannah says, well, Mom, well, she don't say it now, but when she was younger, she would say, these the oldie goldie songs. And she can't imagine a time when she wasn't there. So when I talk about, oh, this song take me back to this or that, and she's like, where was I? And I say, you weren't, you know. So they don't think of us like that. And sometimes when you talk to them about some of the stuff that you've been through, so you know what they're going through. And this is how I know you either not telling me the whole thing, or, you know, they don't, when you tell them that, then they feel like they've been slaughtered. But really, you're not. You're just dealing with them on the same level.
Well, I don't think my children think that I slaughtered them, but I think they think that I may be one against the other, or I may treat this child differently the way that I treat this other child. Because it's, again, because of the age difference. So I may treat you or give you a different answer because of how that person may be a little older and you may be a little younger. And so they base it off of that sometimes. Like, you treat so-and-so differently than how you treat me. So they kind of go against each other, try to make me go against the other child. So,
Yeah, we do that all the time.
Yes, you do.
But I will still say I am the favorite. So, all right, so that's good. That's good. We're about to wrap up this session, but I have one more question, and this comes from a series that I taught back in February on baggage. And so I just want to get your response to it. Edna was in part of that discussion. So let's see where this goes. But one thing that we said we defined what baggage was, and baggage is those emotional things that have happened in the past that dictate and best word is not dictate, but kind of arrange the way that we feel now. Okay? So things that have happened, dead family, bad relationships, having kids out of wedlock, all those kind of things, all right, are things that we deem baggage, okay? One of the things that I tried to make sure that the students understood was that not only do they have baggage, but you have baggage. And a lot of the baggage that you have hadn't been dealt with. And the reason is because the generation before you didn't deal with their baggage. And so it was tough from generation to generation because you didn't talk about those things. You didn't talk about how you felt. You just did what was said, and whatever happened in the house stayed in the house. And so it was difficult, but you dealt with it the best way that you could. Okay. One of the things that we talked about though was that it's hard because y'all have already deemed that this generation is different. It's hard for them to deal with their baggage because they just don't know how to cope. They don't have that tough, thick skin that you had growing up. So what can you say to them about that? I know that's heavy.
Oh. I guess what I would say is, you're gonna have to find a way to deal with the issues that you face day to day. Because they're not gonna stop. Today is not gonna be the end of the baggage, there's gonna be new baggage, with every milestone, with every year, with every month, with every grade, with every class, there's gonna be new baggage. So they have to find a way to deal with it. Ours, I think for me and for our generation, we just you shut it off and you just kept going like you didn't. There was no discussion about it. There was no healing. There was you just moved on because you had other stuff you had to deal with. And I don't know that there was ever resolution. And except for now, you can see some of that stuff and you say, well, this is what I did when that came up and it didn't work because of, this and that, or it did work, or this is, what I would do different. But they're gonna have to find, you can't wallow in that stuff. And I feel like they spend so much time focusing on the bad and the issue and no time focusing on the good stuff, the encouraging things, the uplifting things. So at some point you have to find some kind of way to deal with that. And everybody has to come up with their own coping mechanism. But whatever works for you, use that. Because that's what we had to do.
And they need to also understand that throughout life, even at the age they're now until they're grown, and from now on, you will always face something. Once you get out of school, you go to college, you're going to face issues. You get out of college, you get grown, you get a job, you're going to have issues on your job. It's going to always be something somewhere that you're going to run into. And like she said, you're going to have to find a way to deal with it. I mean, that's just a part of life. And I think a lot of that, our children don't understand that it's life. You got to deal with some stuff. Everything is not going to be handed to you on a silver platter. Okay. People don't care. The world is cruel. The world is cruel. And they want to grow up so fast, but then when they get there, now you can't deal with it. Right. Because you haven't taken the time to be a kid and you haven't opened yourself up and allowed your parents to show you what's going to happen and prepare you. But life is hard for us working every day. We face stuff every day. Every day we get up, we face stuff. It might be in the house, it might be on our job, it could be in our family. We face stuff every day. But if we fall down and just lay down and wallow in it, what's going to happen to them? We find a way to get up, we deal with the situation, and we keep moving, and we live to see another day. And that's just what they're going to have to learn how to do.
That's right.
At some point, these children are going to have to stand up on their 2 feet and say, I'm bigger than whatever my problem is.
That's good. Thank y'all for
I don't have nothing to say about that.
Well, for me, I try to give my children some tips of how I handle things. And so I try to instill in them ways that they can handle things. So say, for example, I'm an introvert. And so I have to write things out to cope with my problems or my issues. I have to go work out and exercise to get rid of some stress. So I just try to give them some tools, or I meditate and study. Like some days I'll go in the closet and Maya be like, I want to come in there with you, so she can deal with some of the things that she may be going through. So she sees the way that I deal with stuff sometimes, and she tries to implement those things as well. So we just try to instill in our children things that can help them to cope with life.
All right, so I want to thank all of our panelists on today, our parents, for participating, all of you for participating. Thank you so much. Everything that you said was valuable. It was golden. And again, I hope that our students are listening. We are starting the conversation. That's what we're doing. We're starting the conversation. All of us are going to have to learn how to build a bridge so that we can learn how to communicate effectively. You've learned that there are ways and things that happened in their lives that you don't have to go through, that they had to deal with. And so you've got to take their perspective, add your own perspective, and then we've got to build a bridge so that we can learn how to walk this walk together. Your parents love you. Let me say this. Your parents love you. If they did not love you, they wouldn't do the things that they do. They wouldn't say the things that they would let you run out and be like some of the other parents that are out there that just let their children do whatever. But your parents don't do that because they love and care about you. And again, as I said earlier, they want you to be the best individual that you can be. The best woman, the best man, the best Christian, the best husband, the best wife, or whatever it is, the best on your career, the best in the military, whatever you decide to do in life, they want you to be the absolute best. And so that's why they say the things that they say and do the things that they do. Again, thank y'all for being here. Thank you for tuning in. Check us out again this coming Wednesday for our midweek Grace Talk devotion at 12 noon on Facebook Live and Zoom. We look forward to seeing you there. We are talking about show some respect. And so we'll be doing part 2 of showing respect and learning what respect means when it comes to effective communication. So we hope to see you there again on this Wednesday. We love you. God bless you, and see you next time.